startup ecosystem, what the idea is that you have to learn how to pitch your idea clearly and concisely. And once you learn how to do that, then you can bring in all the stakeholders and you can get into programs that'll help you and train you on how to build it. But that first step is you have to design a business model that is desirable.
When I initially moved back to Pensacola, I had a meeting with Lloyd. Lloyd invited me for breakfast and I was telling him, man, I still have an idea for the entertainment industry. This is what I wanted to do. He was like, all right, I got Startup on the Blocks. So I need you to start coming to Startup on the Blocks and get a little more information on how to work through the tech ecosystem and take your idea and we'll get you where you need to go. My company is called The Know, is an app that is streamlining business for the entertainment industry. Yeah, so if you're a musician, what you would do is pretty much jump on the platform, you'll create a profile, but the way we created the profile is pretty much a cleaner way. So now if they want more information about you, you'll connect your social media platforms, your streaming platforms, and that way they can go directly to it. What we also have included is your calendar. So pretty much you can set your days, you can set your price for your days and automate your booking. So initially talking to Lloyd, my idea was all here, it was there, it was over here, it was over there. It was like, all right, Quinn, I get it. You got a lot that you want to do, but we need you to bring it in just a little bit and then work on your pitch, your story, and how you're going to bring it full circle to get people to understand what you're trying to create.
Most of the programs here wasn't inclusive, and so we said we'll focus on helping founders of color. We also start at the beginning of the thing, at the idea stage, whereas a lot of the programs you see here locally, they start after you're up, and that's not very efficient unless you have, if you don't have a lot of money, you can't recover from your mistakes. And the lean startup system, it actually helps you make mistakes faster before you spend a lot of money. You don't actually start building anything until you got customer buy-in.
There was a need for small businesses to bring brand awareness to their business. I see there's a lot of makers and bakers that they're making all of these goodies and these products, but they can't market it, they can't sell it at the same time, and there needs to be kind of like that middleman, that middle person to help bring economic growth to some of the small businesses in Pensacola. So Taste of Pensacola, I came up with that idea during the pandemic when I saw things at that time that Amazon couldn't fulfill. They didn't even have those products, but the local people in the community, they did. And so there was a ton of people coming out saying, hey, I make masks. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. All the local people here that are just as talented that can actually make those products. And so I wanted to kind of showcase who they were. So with Taste of Pensacola, our income streams, we have several of them. We have the corporate America, we do corporate gifting, just regular consumers, different Pensacola natives that don't live here that want to purchase our boxes, like a taste of weddings, distribution. So we also do bulk sales. So for a private airline, if they want some local snacks and goodies on their passenger flights, they will come to Taste of Pensacola and we will source their vendors here locally. And we'll give a small business owner an opportunity to have reoccurring monthly sales. I've always had a really big vision for Taste of Pensacola. I knew that it could go beyond just local. I know that maybe other communities could possibly use the same platform that I'm trying to build. And I always have these big visions, but I never know how to even get there. Where do I start? I know it's more than, there's a lot of technical things behind it. I know there's a lot of research, but that connection, I never had it until, thankfully, again, I met and was introduced to Startups on the Blocks and was able to just learn more about how to grow it in terms of data. Things I just never thought about, framework, words like traction. There's a lot of things that I just did not know about in language that I need to know in order to get funding for my business. There's just a lot that I didn't know.
I would go to the stores and look online. They didn't have a wide variety of natural hair products about 8 years ago. And the ones that they did have, the ingredients, it would say that they were all natural. And when I would research the ingredients, a lot of the ingredients were not natural. I make everything, my shampoo, conditioner, I have an oil that I make, and I have 2 different separate butters. Like I had some people who were completely bald and grew their hair. It's about giving women their confidence back in their hair. I have this salon and I have a second salon, and I have my products in about 5 beauty supply stores. So I need a manufacturer to keep up with the demand at this point. Startup on the Blocks has helped my business grow. Send me to different people. I'm able to do different pitch competitions to apply for grants in the community for small businesses. Lloyd's a really good person to connect with. He has a lot of resources here in the community that can help small businesses grow. If you have a product out there and you're trying to go big time, he's the person that you would want to meet with.
So it's really important to have some type of support because 9 times out of 10, most founders start out on their own. And to have somebody that has an idea of how the ecosystem works and is able to tap into other resources and bring back to the community, and that pretty much has encountered some of the roadblocks or going through the same roadblocks that we're currently going through and understands where you're at, your culture and how you respond to things, is a big help because you don't really have too many people that have access to what we have access to here in the community. And a lot of people believe that you have to leave and go to bigger cities to do the things that we're doing here. But I mean, it's one thing to have exposure, but you have to actually know it's here in the community in order to take advantage of the resources. So I get approached and I talk to friends all the time that wants to either start an idea or hear that I'm actually doing the app and wants to know more information about how are you doing it or what's the process, what's the path. I'm like, man, we have somebody here, Startup on the Blocks, Lloyd Richard. And Lloyd is here, he's a great resource to the community and to founders that's trying to learn the ecosystem. So join Startup on the Blocks.
Welcome, welcome. How's everybody?
Hi.
Are you doing good?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
Fantastic. Glad to have you here. Welcome to Startup Founder Best Practices. And
Thank you.
Yeah, we've been doing this for quite a while, over 5 years, and a lot of episodes here every Thursday night. So I enjoy talking to founders and learning their story, their journey. And but my purpose for that is to kind of help share their story, but also have the audience, get some takeaways and insights so they can kind of see themselves and what they potentially could do. Yeah. But I think you're going to be a tough act to follow based on your career.
I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm excited to have you on. Why don't you go ahead and just do like a 1 minute or 2 minute introduction or something, just so people get to know you a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm Missy Pitcher, and I am the co-founder and CEO of BDM Squared. We're a management consulting firm that provides project management as a service, whereas we go in and we manage projects on our clients' behalf. We kind of act in their behalf for major IT transformational initiatives and more recently technical implementations in the telecoms space. We also do business process management as a service, whereas we go in and we help our clients identify, document, optimize, and in some cases, automate their business processes. And then we also do procurement and acquisition support, where we help clients to document their requirements and create an RFP and go through the entire vendor selection process. So end-to-end vendor selection process from the idea to the implementation. We've been in business for almost 10 years now, 9 years as of August of this year. Okay. And we have some pretty big projects. For us to be such a small organization, we helped the Bermuda government with their implementation of their border management system. So if you ever go to Bermuda and you're processed through customs and immigration, we helped them to with the implementation, documentation of their processes for the new system, and the build out and installation of the e-gates, which is their self-service when you go and you put your passport yourself. And so we've been working with both national and international companies for the last 10 years. I have over 25 years of experience, and I've managed major initiatives for Equifax, for the Bermuda Telephone Company, for Singular and AT&T. So I've been doing this for a long time, and I kind of think in graphs and charts. And I'm excited to be here and excited to kind of share a little bit about how you can use project management as a service and business process management to make sure that you deliver on time and that your investors are happy.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's a really, that sounds like a really exciting and challenging career, and we'll dig into that a lot more. And one thing I did today, I took your LinkedIn profile,
Mhm.
um, and I dumped it over in the Notebook LM, and it created an explainer video. I don't know if you had a chance to see it yet. I did post it online today.
No.
So, like, if you like, we can show it now. And
Yes, please.
yeah, so let me see what I got a comment in here. That's Carmen, and so yeah, so it's glad to see you here, Carmen. Yeah,
Okay.
so, but yeah, let me just go ahead and show that, just to show how information can be synthesized, just based on text. So
Mhm.
I'll go ahead and share that right
Welcome
now.
to The Explainer. Today, we're going to deconstruct a 25-year career to build a blueprint for entrepreneurial success. We're turning one person's real-world experience into a playbook for anyone who's looking to build something from the ground up. So let's start with a big question. What's that one skill, the one that's absolutely critical but so often gets overlooked when you're building a business from scratch? It's not just about having the big idea or the vision. It's about the nitty-gritty of execution. And the secret weapon for flawless execution? Well, it's project management. And to really understand this, we're going to follow the journey of Missy Pitcher. Her career path provides this powerful step-by-step playbook that is just invaluable for any founder. Okay, let's dive right into part one. Every great founder's journey, and I mean every great company, it all starts with mastering the fundamentals. This is the blocking and tackling of business. It's where you get your hands dirty, and it's where you earn your stripes. For Missy, this meant spending over a decade on the front lines, deep in the trenches at major tech and telecom companies. She wasn't just in the room. She was on the ground, learning how to manage every single detail of a project from its very first day all the way to its final launch. Now, what's really fascinating about this slide is how these duties, which are taken directly from her time at companies like Singular and Earthlink, are a perfect mirror of what a founder does every single day. Juggling resources, putting out fires, keeping everyone marching in the same direction. Sound familiar? This is the absolute core of building a business. And when you master these fundamental details, you can deliver on an absolutely massive scale. This isn't just theory, okay? We're talking about successfully managing a $40 million infrastructure project. So the crucial point here is this. You have to master the details yourself before you can ever hope to effectively delegate them. So that brings us to the next phase. Once you've mastered executing individual projects, the next big leap for a founder is to build a system, a machine really, that allows the business to scale far beyond just your own personal efforts. And this slide just brilliantly illustrates that critical pivot. It's the move from working in the business, managing one project at a time, to working on the business by building a system for repeatable success. This is exactly the transition Missy made in her director-level roles. So how do you build that system? Well, at companies like Keytech and Equifax, she wasn't just running projects anymore. She was building the engine itself, the Project Management Office, or PMO. You can think of it as the operational core that makes sure everyone is following the same playbook. Just look at these accomplishments. This isn't about one project anymore. It's about creating the rules, the templates, and the governance that allowed entire organizations to execute complex projects effectively and, most importantly, repeatedly. She was building the company's capability to deliver. Okay, so you've mastered the craft of execution, and you've learned how to build the system. What comes next? The ultimate entrepreneurial step, launching your own venture and turning all that expertise into a product. In 2022, Missy did exactly that. She launched BDM Squared. This was the moment she productized her expertise, transforming 2 decades of deep, hands-on knowledge into a service that she could actually sell. Her firm's core offering is something called PMaaS, Project Management as a Service. The best way to think of it is like this. She essentially built an expert plug-and-play project management office that other companies can hire on demand to solve their biggest, hairiest challenges. And the results, they really do speak for themselves. From overhauling the border management system for an entire country to managing hugely complex system upgrades for energy companies, her firm takes on these incredibly difficult challenges for major clients, which just proves the immense value of this productized expertise. So after mastering execution, building systems, and launching a business, what's the final piece of the blueprint? It's a new, more holistic way of understanding leadership itself. In her current role as a chief administrative officer, she's not just overseeing projects anymore. She's responsible for all the critical back-office functions that make a company run: IT, HR, finance, and project management. This shows that at the highest level, effective leadership really is project management. It's the art of coordinating all the moving parts to achieve a big strategic goal. So the crucial point is this: Missy Pitcher's career gives us a clear, 3-step blueprint that any aspiring founder can follow. First, master the fundamentals. Get in there and learn every detail. Second, build the system. Design the processes that let you scale. And third, launch the service. Turn your unique skill into a real business. It's a path to building something that truly lasts. And this whole journey leaves us with one final, powerful thought to chew on. Your business isn't just a business. It is the biggest, most complex project you will ever undertake. So the question is, are you truly managing it with the discipline it deserves?
All right. Yeah.
That was phenomenal. It makes me sound like I really know what I'm doing.
Yeah. I thought you might get a kick out of it, but
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to imagine, that from your LinkedIn profile, it can create a story based on your career, and it's So you think it kind of accurately depicted what you went through?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It really did capture and summarize and, very effectively kind of with my beginnings. It doesn't capture everything because it can't, because,
Right.
it's just text. So,
Yeah.
looking at where I started at Sybase, I was, administrative assistant, project coordinator. I was kind of at the very bottom of the I guess the organization, but
Mhm.
I got some big responsibilities very early on. I was responsible for the entire learning center for Sybase and coordinating the resource utilization for both the environment as well as the people, and getting, that opportunity and being exposed to project management early in my career gave me the opportunity to, scale and grow and take on bigger projects. And that $40 million project that I did for Singular was, kind of, I won't say it was the peak, but it was one of those highlights of my career that I was glad that it captured. And as I was looking at it, I was like, oh, there are things that I've forgotten that I'd done that get pulled out because, I'm always off to the next thing. So
Yeah.
that was a really good summary of my career. And it made me think about things that I've done that I kind of hadn't thought about in a long time. So,
Yeah. So
yeah.
that's really, really great. So, and what we normally do is kind of even go back further than where you started your career. What were you thinking about as a teenager that you wanted to do, and how does that? Is there any link, to that stuff and what your startup? Because we already know your career is definitely related to your startup, but
Yeah.
what
Well,
were you
actually,
thinking about as a teenager?
as a teenager, I wanted to be a lawyer.
Okay.
So my undergrad is in political science and my graduate degree is in public administration. And I wanted to be a lawyer. And I, grew up in the inner city, and didn't have the um, I didn't have the guidance that if I had different guidance, I probably wouldn't be where I am, because I thought, that lawyers were either criminal or they were civil. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that there was such a breadth of the law practice. Like my best friend in Bermuda, she's a corporate lawyer, and she never goes into the courtroom. And if I had better guidance, I probably would be a corporate lawyer.
Gotcha.
So I went to school for political science. I worked in a law office, a civil law practice in Oakland for a year while I was in undergrad. And I realized that is not what I want to be and not what I want to do. And so I kind of pivoted, and I went and I worked for the government as an administrative assistant. And I've always had a job. Started working when I was 14 and have been working for over 40 years, right? So I pivoted and I got a job at Sybase, and it was like, a huge deal for me because the manager told me, she's like, you beat out 30 people, which, was very validating when you think about, I was in California and I beat out 30 other administrative assistants to get this job. And I took the job, and it was it was kind of my foray into project management and into technology. And that is kind of how I ended up where I am and why I'm so happy doing what I'm doing, because I was exposed to technology, which I absolutely love, and then project management, which is actually how I think. I think in graphs and grids and spreadsheets. All those things make me happy. So it was a perfect fit for me, and I just happened to fall into it. But I had the right guidance once I got there, and I was exposed to the right people, and got a love for technology and kind of a frame for how I think and how I best operate.
Okay, fantastic. So that political science, and did you learn anything in particular from that you actually use in your company today?
Well, actually, because most of the work that I do is in the government space,
Okay.
I most of my work is either in public utilities,
Wow.
international government, or small local governments. That's actually the niche that I've chosen, simply because a lot of organizations don't have either the resources or the skill set for the implementations that they're taking on. So I am using it in an indirect way.
Yeah.
And then when I was in grad school, I took public administration. So it was, it's like an MBA, but in the public space. And then I also took organizational design and behavior, which that was I won't say a minor because I didn't do the full minor, but I took organizational design and behavior because I'm really fascinated with how the people part of organizations impacts the output of the organization. And so I'm using that as well because, business process management is actually the people part. Process is important, but how it affects and impacts people is equally as important, because if you don't have the right buy-in, you don't include the right people when you're implementing a process, you're not going to get the appropriate adoption, and it's going to die on the vine. So I am using it, just not in the way that it was originally intended.
Gotcha. So, like, where did you get the leadership experience from?
I started at the bottom. I was an executive assistant or administrative assistant, working in the organization, and I got my first real project, I'll say. It was a move. So we to move 200 people from one location because we were losing our lease. And so those 200 people had to be in their space. I did everything. I did the floor plan. I worked with the IT team. I worked with the phone team, worked with everybody to make sure that everybody was where they were supposed to be, that the appropriate levels had the offices and cubicle that they needed. And we were able to do it successfully. And I was like, oh, I can do this. This is wonderful. And so the leadership kind of came as the more I grew in my role, in my different roles. I, got my, was never early in my career, I wasn't a manager, but then when I went to Bermuda, I started out as a business process manager, and then they promoted me to assistant VP of project management, and I built the PMO there and worked with the team to make sure that we delivered effectively. So that's really where the leadership came. When I went international, I got more exposure, and they trusted me with leadership. And then when I came back to the States, I started out as a director at Equifax, and then I got promoted to senior director at Equifax. And of course, the next step would have been VP, but I decided that, I adopted my niece and nephew, and wanted to kind of take control of my life and have time to help them with the adjustment. And so I
Gotcha.
decided to start my company.
Mhm.
And I actually started my company in 2016. I didn't put it on LinkedIn until 22 because we started an IT firm as well. My husband is an entrepreneur as well. So
Oh,
we
great.
started an IT firm. And so leadership, it came naturally in that, I may or may not have had the title of manager or director, but people deferred to me as a leader um, the more I worked with them, right? So, I was in a male dominated field, IT, and I had to prove myself and show that I could deliver and show that I could be trusted with the work. And I was able to do that. And then people started to defer to me. And I, just kind of built leadership from there. And then I got the actual title. So a lot of times you don't necessarily have the title, but you're a leader because
Right.
you're leading and delivering and people trust you and they defer to you.
Gotcha, gotcha. So I wanted to back up a minute. So to make the point about the project management.
Mhm.
So the neat thing is for the upskilling programs and for people, the project management is one of the jobs that you can get, without a college degree or whatever, and so it's a non-technical degree that a thing you can do that gets you in the tech field. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Because I had my degree when I got the
yeah,
job,
yeah,
but I didn't have any. I was an executive assistant, so
yeah,
there are different routes you can take in project
yeah,
management as a career. You
yeah,
can go the technology and engineering. You're promoted up from
yeah,
tech to engineer to
yeah,
PM, or you can go the route of getting a degree in project management and
yeah,
starting as a PM coordinator or
yeah,
project manager.
yeah.
So it's just
Yeah. So I guess my point was just that I've noticed like Google, most of all the big companies have these project management, training programs,
mhm,
that they try to attract people into.
mhm.
Yeah. Now, when you got this job as a process person, what qualified you for that?
Well, I had been doing, as part of the projects that I
Yeah.
delivered prior to starting that job, there was
Mhm.
always a process component. And in some of the smaller organizations where I worked, you're wearing all the hats. You're
Okay.
doing the process, you're doing training, you're doing, deployment planning, you're up overnight with the deployment team, stepping them
Mhm.
through. And so there was a process component to project management that I had done in the past, and I was
Okay.
able to, speak to the benefits of process and how I would engage with people with updating their process, and just kind of a little bit
Uh-huh.
about that that role. So that was with the Bermuda Telephone Company when I moved to Bermuda because I married my
Yes.
husband who's Bermudian, and so I moved to
Okay.
Bermuda.
Gotcha.
And so they hired me to help them with their service delivery. And when I started, they were about between 7 to 10 days to deliver an installation for service. I went and I worked with the service delivery team to understand what they do, to understand the barriers and
Yeah.
their roadblocks and the challenges that they were facing. And we put together a plan so that they could, deliver the service more effectively and efficiently, and took away some of the roadblocks. And we went from 7 to 10 days delivery down to 3 days delivery
Wow.
when we finished the process. And now they're at like 1 to 2 days, depending on, if you have everything in place. So it was a huge impact to the business and to the community for us to go from, 7 to 10 days down to 3 days. And I think from a process perspective, what's most important when you're implementing a new process is understanding what people do, why they do what they do, and the barriers to them making change and the change that they'd like to see. And
Gotcha.
that was how I came into it. And when I started that job, they had actually hired someone prior to me And they were like, they weren't successful because Bermuda is one of those markets where if they don't, it's a unionized shop, and if they don't like you or they don't want to hear what you have to say, they won't do what you want them to do. So it really is a delicate balance of negotiating and getting people to understand, what you're doing and why you're doing it, and but also, respecting their expertise and how and why they do the things they do.
The understanding business processes can impact your bottom line, but increasing your efficiency to do work or to get.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely, absolutely. So I actually have a presentation that I do on called Scaling Your Business with Repeatable Process.
okay,
And one of the key things that is, if you want to scale, you have to be able to delegate. If you don't have a process, if you don't have it documented, you don't know what you do, you can't delegate. So you
right,
have to focus on the day-to-day, the minutia of everyday implementation and execution. And I was in a meeting, and I heard someone say there are $10 an hour tasks, there are $100 an hour tasks, and there are $1,000 an hour tasks. And I couldn't fathom at that time, early in my business, $1,000 an hour task. But when you're a force multiplier and you have processes, you can delegate, and you have people that are doing what you do on a grander scale. So I have four project managers and business analysts that work for me currently. And so every hour that they work, I make, 10, 15, $100 an hour. So the more people you have working on your, the more people you have working on your behalf, means that you're a force multiplier. You're scaling and you're growing, and your delegation means that you can focus on the critical and strategic tasks while you're making money because other people are working.
Right. So like one of the things, and we use a platform called Startup Science, and one of the things that says in there where founders make a mistake at, they go out and try to do a lot of hiring before they iron out their processes. So they're not getting the benefit of the people they're hiring.
Right. Yeah. Because then you have to hold their hands to do what they're doing, rather than being able to just hand it off and delegate the activities. So what I recommend is identifying your critical processes, whether it's your onboarding process, your sales process, your project management process, whatever those processes are that you can take off of your plate and you can delegate. Identify those processes, document those processes in a way that you can hand them off, and then find people that are as good or better than you at doing your job. All of my project managers are better project managers than I am currently, simply because I am not a project manager anymore to that degree. There's a level of detail that project management requires that I don't have because I'm focusing on strategy. I'm focusing on growing. So managing projects are secondary for me, as from an execution perspective. But I have project managers that are really good, that are really smart, and I've created a framework where they can use their professional expertise in the context of my framework to deliver in a way that is makes my clients happy.
Fantastic. Yeah, so we definitely looking forward to learning a lot more about that as well. And Carmen, he's like what he's hearing, so he's ready to schedule. You sold him already, I guess. Yeah, but yeah, we'll pop your website in, if you want to just pop it in the comments there. Yeah. And so he'll have that, and to kind of move
and I'll put my email in there as well.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, so it's like you know careers they build upon, it looks like you just kept building and learning more stuff, and then eventually, setting up the your company. Yeah.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. Just a little. So when I started, it was just me.
okay.
And my first project was based on my relationship with my former manager. They reached out to me and asked me if I could manage this project for Bermuda Electric Company. Basically,
Okay.
they were rebuilding they were doing a website redesign and a customer self-service portal and an
Hmm.
outage map for when they have when they have outages in,
Yeah.
planned or otherwise. And so it started out with me, and then I set the expectation that I would not be the person that would be doing all the work. I would be the face of the project. I would manage
Hmm.
the relationship, but I would not be the person doing all the work. So what I did was I brought on another project manager as a coordinator,
Hmm.
and I was the face of the project. But whenever my client asked for something, I had the coordinator send it. So they got comfortable with her. And all the while we were building our processes, I created, my platform in Smartsheet where we have our dashboards, we have all of our project artifacts that we were managing in Microsoft Project and Excel. It's all in Smartsheet now. And
Okay.
so we built our framework. I built my onboarding. I built my project management process, onboarding for both clients and new project managers so that when somebody came on, they were ready to hit the ground running. I don't micromanage them because they're all as good or better than me. I
Gotcha.
give them the framework and I allow them to use their professional expertise to deliver. I only
Yeah.
hire project managers that have at least 10 years experience.
Hmm.
So they've been managing projects in whatever industry we're working in, they have experience in that industry as well. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I got to scale. And then I have a bench of project managers that are kind of waiting in the wings. So
Hmm.
if a project
Yeah.
comes, I have people that are available that can start, so I can scale pretty quickly for new work.
Yeah, that's really fantastic, and but that's what building a reputation in your arena
Mhm.
allows for, and yeah, so it's pretty fantastic. So you mentioned your kind of like your toolbox, Microsoft Project Management. So you don't just use a spreadsheet, you use a real tool.
Yeah, yeah. When we first started, we used Microsoft Project and we
Okay,
had our project workbook, which had all of the main trackers. So,
okay.
we had action items log, we had risk management log, we
Hmm.
had key decisions log. That's critical. A lot of people don't keep track of the key decisions in a project,
Yeah,
our key decisions log, we have what the decision was, who was involved, and when the decision was made, because people's memories are short.
yeah.
We we have a requirements traceability log, which tracks
Okay,
all of our requirements, and so
okay.
all of that now is in Smartsheet. And we not only did we build out the framework, but we actually did a proper deployment. So when we implemented Smartsheet, we had hired Smartsheet to build out the platform. We have a repeatable process for creating our project and intake and everything. And then I also have a Smartsheet. Started out as an intern, and now she's a junior BA slash
Okay.
smart analyst that works for us, that makes sure that when we need changes, or we identify where we want our process inside of Smartsheet to change, or we want new dashboards,
Hmm.
she will create that for us. So our process is dynamic in that we establish this process, but it changes based on our needs, based on how we've grown, and so we use the tools and we manage our processes the same way we do it for our clients.
Gotcha. So, or did you imply that you all the capability that project management software you were able to implement it in the smart sheets, or do you still use project management software?
No, the Smartsheet is a project management
Okay.
platform, and we've looked at, a number of
Hmm.
tools just because, if something better comes out, but it's best of breed. It
Yeah.
does everything from a project management perspective, as well as the trackers that we use for our project artifacts, and then their
Yeah.
dashboards, and there's automation. So,
Hmm.
if when there's an action item, it will automatically send out a note requesting updates. It will automatically, send out a note saying that you have a task that's coming on that you need to respond to. And so it really is a best of breed tool. And all of our team is certified, and we are a silver partner with them. So we
Oh,
sell smart.
fantastic! I've never ran into anybody that was a partner with them. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
pretty neat. So like when you set up something for another business or do
Mhm.
it as a service, you're literally providing them an installation of Smartsheet to manage their projects, or
Well,
are you doing it for them? Or your company's doing it for them?
we sell the licenses, and if
Okay,
we haven't done an implementation
okay,
with Smartsheets, except for our company. But when we do a project, we provide them the platform, and that's included as a part of our service.
okay. So you all, as from your project management as a service,
Hmm.
you actually manage the project for them, and
Hmm.
you give them access. Do your clients have to have access to see to Smartsheet when you're doing that, or do you all
Um,
just do all that yourself?
we give them access. Most of them don't go. They don't go in there other than
Okay,
just to look
gotcha.
at the dashboards. But we
Yeah.
give them access to view and to edit.
Okay, gotcha.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's neat. I didn't understand how that
Mhm.
how that worked. Now, so is that also the same tool that you use with your process management?
For process management, we use it to track the
Yeah.
processes that we are, just to make sure that we deliver what we say we're going to deliver. But we
Okay.
use Visio.
Okay. Video. Okay.
Yeah, we use Visio for the business process, and we use BPMN, which is the Business Process Management Network
Never heard
approach
of
to,
that.
yeah, it's BPMN. It's an approach to
Okay.
documenting business processes. And whenever we document a business process, we will document the flow, the
Okay.
boxes
Yeah. Yeah.
and
With
squares
video.
and squares and
Yeah.
diamonds.
Yeah.
But then we also create a standard operating procedures document that
Okay.
outlines the systems, the people, and any business rules associated with every task that you do in your process.
Okay.
Because if you're, the boxes, yeah, I love a Visio document. I think they're
Okay.
beautiful. They make me happy, and I make beautiful Visio documents. However, not everybody thinks in Visio documents, and
Right.
the swim lanes are nice, but there's a lot left out when you create a Visio document. So we create a corresponding business process document that has, it has a task, it has an owner, and then it has all the steps associated with it and any
Okay.
decisions you need to make in order to accomplish that step. Just so that, you can take that document, you can give it to someone, and they can use that as a guide.
Gotcha.
And then
Gotcha.
in some cases, we'll train, depending on if they have a training department, we'll also train the processes as well. And then, if we sign off on it and they say, hey, we accept this, this is our process now, and we're going to keep it updated. And a lot of times they do. You have to realize that business processes are not as soon as you create it, you probably need to change it. So you really do need to do an assessment and evaluate your processes at least quarterly. Just look at them and say, hey, are we doing things differently? Have we grown? Are our client needs different today than they were 3 months ago or 6 months ago? Just so that you keep current, and you don't get to a place where you have someone new come on board and you have a process that is out of date because you do things so differently.
All righty. So it sounds like, so what would you say, any startup or a small business, how critical is that process document you create?
If you want to scale, if you're going to do everything yourself, you'll do things the way that you do things. However, if you're going to ever have someone else do something in your organization, if you're going to hire a virtual assistant, if you're going to hire a salesperson, if you're going to hire someone for operations, having good documented business processes that you can hand off to someone so that you don't have to think about those activities, it's critical for you to scale. If you want to, stay a solopreneur, then, you'll do things the way that you do things in your own time. But if you want to scale and you want to grow and you want to use your 24 hours in the day and have more than 24 hours in your day, then you have to have good processes and you have to have them documented well. And when you're going through and you're documenting your processes, it's always a good idea to have someone else look at it and go through the steps, because there are things that you do intuitively. You just like, oh, this is how I do it. And you don't think about all the steps. So if you have someone else look at it and go through the steps and ask questions, then you will really get that much better of a process, because it won't be just what's in your head. It'll actually be the steps that are required to execute.
Yeah. And I think even if a person is a solopreneur, if they even want to get a little bit more productive and a little bit more efficient, you need to have the processes
absolutely
down as well. So
absolutely.
And so like I was saying with the startup science product, the guy that developed that, Greg Shepard, he said one of the biggest mistakes that startups make, or the founders make, is that they get the money to go to market, and so they race to go out and hire a bunch of people, but they don't have their processes down, and they end up going out of business because they spending money because they can't get the productivity out of the people they hired.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's so would you say that you actually learn all this stuff real time? Is it something you saw and you just wanted to do, or you just had to do it because of the job you had?
I think it was a combination of the two. So it was a part of the job because, my first real project management job was with a small consulting firm. And I say real project management job because I had others, but my first project management consulting opportunity, I did a project for Bell South. And I was responsible for the implementation of Scopus, which has ultimately become Salesforce. They bought that up. Yeah. So I'm that old. So I did an implementation of Scopus, and it was I'm trying to remember, was it a $25 million project? But it was, we were a very small team. We got hired by Bell South as, for consulting. And in addition to actually delivering the project, we had to work with them to document their sales processes and to go through the user acceptance testing, everything. It was like end to end. So I wore all these hats. And in order for me to deliver in the time frame, and they were a very generous client, they said that if we delivered early and the budget, we would get a bonus. So we would
Oh,
get,
wow.
I think it was like 25% of the value of the contract if we delivered it early and under budget. So, I had to work with multiple teams to deliver, and I had to create a process because the consulting firm was young and they didn't have their processes in place. So we established all these processes. We delivered very efficiently, and we came in under budget and early, and we were able to split this this bonus. But it
Wow.
was kind of out of necessity that we created the process because we wanted the bonus, and it
Motivated.
was, yeah. And we worked really well together. I was surrounded by a ton of really smart people who were really dedicated. And I am not a developer and have never been a developer. So I had to, put processes in place and checks and balances so that we could deliver early and under budget. And we were able to do that. But I had to trust my team and I had to have good processes because I couldn't do what they did, right? So having good processes and allowing people to do what they do well, and trust being, having a team that you can trust,
Yeah.
all, give you, those are the tools for success.
Yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned that you were going to launch another service at the beginning of the year. How's that different than what you're already doing?
So I'm in the process of developing a business process, scaling your business with repeatable processing, coaching course. So it's a course where you have to qualify for the coaching. You go through the process of identifying your process and you go through the coursework. And then once you complete the coursework, you can get the coaching. And, I offer reviews and feedback on your process during the course of the process, the project that during the course of your coursework. And then if you want to take that next step for individualized coaching, where we can create a roadmap so that you can go bigger and scale your business, I will be, working to help you more, individually.
So it sounds like the bottom line, if somebody takes this this course, they can develop all the processes in their business.
They get a framework to do it, and if they want to do it, on their own, take the course. You learn about, kind of how to develop a good process that you can use that's repeatable. And then if you want help because you have bigger processes or you have more processes and you want me to help you through developing those processes and helping your team to develop those processes, then I can coach you through it. Or you can hire my team, and my team will work with your team and do the interviews and document the processes and help you to test out the processes. If you don't have time to do it, because, a lot of times you're doing your day to day and documenting the processes, we can spend a few hours with you, grab your knowledge, document your processes, and, get you started on, the critical processes that you would need to build a team.
Gotcha. So it sounds like this course is part of a sales funnel to get more customers as well for the big projects.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that sounds pretty a neat way to do it. Yeah,
because I've been doing it for free. Whenever I do a workshop, I do the scalable, scaling your business with repeatable process workshop, and then after the workshop, I spend another 2 or 3 hours in with the participants coaching for all intents and purposes. And so I will take that, what I've learned from, the conversations that I've had and the coaching that I've done for free and create a program where.
Yeah. So fine tune it. Yeah. So like I was thinking, Black Innovation Leaders of Florida, we're going to be in St. Pete this weekend, and I'm doing the beginning parts of the entrepreneur stuff. But on December 6th, I'll have to take a look at that, see if we maybe can get you in, to help me out on that, to
Absolutely.
do. Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's, and you actually welcome to stop by. I'll make sure you have the information. You're welcome to stop by this weekend just to see what's going on. It's free and open. It's like they're doing a talent track and an entrepreneur track, and so that's kind of what's going on there in St. Pete. Yeah. So, but I'll make sure you get the information. I probably need that. We did a show on it last week. Yeah, it's I'm definitely looking forward to it, and So I haven't heard you mention an awful lot about AI. Anything? How are you leveraging AI and what you're doing?
AI is like my best friend.
Okay, gotcha.
It is my best friend. I use it to. I'll give you an example. So
Okay.
whenever you get requests for proposals. I get them every day. And so I will take my request for proposal. I have a prompt that I've created, and it's, like this big, and it will tell me all of the key information for the proposal.
Yeah.
It will tell me the feasibility of me going for it as prime or sub, and it'll also help me with partnerships because I believe in partnerships. And so I have a number of people that I work with that do either exactly the same thing that I do or complementary services to what I do. And so I'll put their information in and I'll say, what do you think about our chances for this? The feasibility of us going for it as prime, as sub, and then it'll give me, the assumptions around whether or not we should go for it and why. And then it, gives me the details, and it'll create an outline for me so that I have all of the key components and I'm ready to build my proposal. And then on the back end, after I've built my proposal, I'll put the RFP in there and my proposal, and I'll say, you are a management consultant with 15, 20 years of experience. Evaluate this proposal as a management consultant expert and let me know where I can improve and make recommendations for improvement, and then it'll help me with improvements. That's one of the things that I do. And then just the everyday help me make my correspondence better or help me create correspondence that is effective and compelling.
Gotcha. So so that sounds pretty neat. But so you kind of implied that it was a long prompt as opposed to just a little short prompt.
Oh, it's a long prompt. It is. It's long. It's at least 4 or 5 paragraphs. It is. It's, the first paragraph is pull out the details. What's the due date? Is there a pre-bid meeting, and is it mandatory? What are the requirements? The scope. What is the scope? How does that align with the services that I provide? Are there any gotchas? What questions should I ask? I mean, I can share the prompt. It is, it's a pretty long prompt. And then there's the feasibility component and the partnership component. So it's a pretty long prompt, but it gets me what I need. And I don't have to read 100 pages of an RFP. It really does tell me, it helps me in my decision-making process for whether or not I should go for it.
So it's like, did you evolve from doing short prompts and then combining all of them together?
Yeah. So it started with just, evaluate this RFP and give me the key components of the RFP and create an outline. And then the more I learned about AI and the process and what it could do, I just built my prompt. And then I asked ChatGPT, what helped me to build a prompt that will evaluate RFPs and the feasibility of me, going for that RFP. And it helped me to build the longer prompt. So you can ask it how to best engage and interact. And I also use ChatGPT, or I have a client that I'm working with, and they provide their own hardware. So I can't use ChatGPT on their hardware. So I use the Microsoft's, which isn't as good. But I've created an executive assistant of sorts, and her name is Edna, like Edna from The Incredibles, and she has 10 years experience as an executive assistant for a professional services organization. And I will ask her to help me plan my week. And so she'll go in and she'll look at my email. She'll look at the tasks and activities that are still outstanding, what I have upcoming on my calendar, and she'll build a plan for the week.
Okay, but where is Edna getting these tasks from?
She's looking inside my email, my chats, everything that I have open and available. She's
I was curious if she was getting them from some of the tasks from your smart sheet, or where she was getting them from.
I haven't integrated that as of yet, because that requires integration, but she will. Copilot, because it's integrated with your Microsoft tools, it can go into your email, it can go into your Teams meeting transcripts, it can go into other chats that you've done. So I use that as a for that, because it just makes it easier. Now they'll also have it look at what I've done over the last week, help me create a status report.
Okay. Yeah.
So a lot of the just mundane administrative tasks I use AI for, because it.
Yeah, I noticed I've gotten lazy, and I try to. I don't just use one of them, but my main one is ChatGPT. But with my business, the prompt I created for the founders, it works better in Claude. So I am flexible, but I'm an engineer, so I'm always experimenting to see which one does the best.
I love Claude.
Yeah,
I love Claude. I don't know if you've used Gamma.app, but it is a presentation tool, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah, and I noticed with all these upgrades they've been making, the last one presentation I was making in there, it didn't automatically create the graphics. So I don't know what I did different than all the other previous times. But I love it too, because it allows you to go in there and re-prompt the graphics and all that stuff. So at least it definitely gets your train of thought. So I'm trying to think of how to. So you have this framework, and so what I did with the framework we use with the founders, which is the Lean Stack platform. And this is one of the things I want to say about prompting. So a lot of people prompt about their business and get different things, and you have a workflow for, like, you using the long prompt to get your stuff. So it's based on a recurring process that you do. So what I did was I took the whole course of the Lean Stack, from business model design to demand validation, and so I create a prompt that covers all of that. and even before that, before to me, before you start working on your idea, you need to understand the whole supply chain and the industry that you're in. So I do that on the front end, and then what I found was that the the business model design and the demand validation leads to your marketing. So once I figured that out, I had to go ahead and do all the marketing stuff for the landing pages and stuff. So I end up with this prompt that's got 27 steps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But the amount of research that it does, it's really amazing.
Yeah.
But so you contrast that with somebody that's using prompting with their business, but they're not doing it based on a framework, the whole process that you actually have to go through. Yeah. So it's just but you're taking it from your background and what you learn. Yeah. But there definitely is a lot of opportunity in that. So is there so where you think you headed with all the AI stuff?
My plan is to continue to grow and to learn and to use agents and to bots and agents. I prefer agents because I just don't like the term bots. But yeah, to use agents more and to be more effective at using agents. So I'm in a group called the Florida PM Pros, and basically it's a group of project managers, project management companies, and we work together and we bid on work together and we win contracts together. And one of the ladies that's in the group, she has agents, and that's where I got the idea initially to create. I have Edna, I have I can't remember all their names. Basically, I have agents that do different things. I have, my agent that will evaluate my my RFPs. I have a project manager that will evaluate the project. When I create an RFP, she will evaluate it and she'll help me create a timeline. And so, my description is that her name is Millicent, and she has 15 years or 20 years experience as an expert project manager, and she has an MBA in she's been doing this this type of project for however many years, and she evaluates and helps with feasibility and creating timelines and cost. So my goal from an AI perspective is to continue to grow and use it. And one of the nice things about the agents, if you request an agent to do something, they'll ask if you want to create a standard operating procedure.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So for certain things, they'll help you with creating a procedure for what they're doing. So my goal is to, explore that more. And I created an app for evaluating the RFPs and the team members, and it creates a report. So to, expand that and use it more in my day-to-day to make what I do more efficient and to deliver my services more effectively. I don't think AI is going anywhere. I don't think it's going to, take everybody's job like a lot of people think, because you still need the human to evaluate it. And if
the human has the expertise and to train the AI to do stuff.
Exactly.
And so that's the kind of where it's like a team, part, like you said, it's part of the team. To get things done. So so do you offer your course, your process, your I guess scaling course through online, or do you always do it in person?
It's going to be online.
Okay.
online. Yeah, the workshops that I've done, they're in person. It's, you know, it's just an hour workshop. It's a taste
Okay.
of creating the, you know, the your repeatable processes. The course is actually going to be online. I'm still figuring out which platform I'm going to
Gotcha.
use,
Gotcha.
but it will be online, and it'll be self-paced, and
Gotcha.
then I'll have a, you know, the coaching component that will go with it.
Gotcha. Okay, I understand. So it sounds like that coaching component is based on all your expertise. You're going to create an agent Missy, and the agent then they're going to be there to coach him along.
I wish,
Yeah.
I wish, but you know, the agent could, you know, coach from a best practices
Yeah.
perspective,
Mhm.
but that, you know, the nuance of running your business and the compassion and guidance, an agent or a bot couldn't do that, right?
Mhm.
And just, you can say, Edna or Millicent, you have 20 years experience doing it, but the answer that they're going to give you is the answer that is best practices. And it wouldn't consider all of the human elements that go into
Yeah.
running a business, that go into um, transferring, and that whole emotion of letting go of the process so
Mhm.
that someone else can do it, and
Yeah.
kind of holding your hand to get to where you need to be in order to delegate.
Gotcha. Yes. So like, so one of the things that um, AI does that it's so like what happens is with AI you can map anything to anything, and
Mm-hmm.
so like if you keep documenting the data on how you consult with clients and just try to put that into some type of data format. So the AI will model all that, and so it's slightly hard concept to understand, but all your intrinsic knowledge that you can't explain, if you give answers based on something um, that you don't know why that's how you would evaluate it. The AI can capture it, but it's just something that people have to start, you know, understanding. So this is what I always tell people: we don't know what all capabilities of these large language models, but that's not the only kind of AI. But the but the but uh, AI has the ability to model any pattern, and the way
Mm-hmm.
any person operates is a pattern.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what you always have to remember. If you provide that, if you train that agent on your knowledge, it will capture the stuff that you can't even say you know.
Yeah.
It, that's what's the craziness about it. But is there any takeaways you want to leave the audience with tonight?
Absolutely.
But
Again, it
yeah.
is, process project. Well, if you want to successfully run a business, you have to run your business like a project.
Mhm.
In that, you have to, be aware of your timelines. You have to be aware of your costs. You have to be aware of the scope of what you're delivering, and make
Mhm.
sure that you keep track and you stay on top of the scope, because scope creep
Yeah.
is real, and it'll bite you.
Yeah.
And then if you want to scale, if you want to grow, you have to have good processes that you can delegate and hand off, so that you can focus on strategy, you can focus on growth, you can focus on managing and building relationships, because business is 70-80% relationship, and the rest is, what you're delivering.
Gotcha. Yeah, and so I definitely want to compliment you on focusing in this area, because it's the literally without having these processes and automating these processes, you as a small business you can't grow capacity to get work done. But by documenting these processes, you're allowing yourself the ability to scale, like you said, and so it's like really important for any type of business, to that wants to be able to do more, because believe it or not, the part of the reason why a small business can't get a contract or can't get a contract with the city, county, or state, because they don't have the capacity to do it. But
Right.
once you start automating your processes, you can kind of grow that capacity, to do it. So that's what the neat thing about that. So definitely in a good space. Definitely look forward to partnering with you on all the stuff you're doing, and trying to get out me trying to get all these founders trained on the best practices for building a startup. Yes. But I want to give it like a little quick shout out to my sponsors, and then we're gonna get off here. So let me just do this real quick, and let's see here. So yeah, so we partner with a lot of organizations and folks to kind of to support being able to serve founders, and so it really helps out a lot. And so just a big shout out to the partners and the sponsors who help put the bill. And by the way, I'm thinking when we do our innovation summit in April, definitely probably want to have you as a speaker up here in Pensacola, to kind of help with that. Because, yeah. And so, but that's so we definitely appreciate all the sponsors. And for anybody new, we offer the people access to these platforms, and so they can learn the best stuff. And Lean Stack and Startup Science, they're I would say the top platforms for training founders. And we also have let's see if we can get to it. This BLF, we have access to this thing called Patent Hacks, where if you need to do any trademarks or patents, we can provide you access to the training. And we do have some scholarships as well for you to file for your patent, and also file for your patent.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's just a lot of opportunities out there to kind of move forward. All righty, Missy, we appreciate you, and it's definitely been a pleasure. And when you log off here, just make sure your local recording is finished updating, and I can provide you with that, and so you can use that for media and stuff like that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you for trusting me to share with your team. I really appreciate it, and I'm excited for working and sharing more wherever I can and helping. So I really appreciate you.
Yeah, and big shout out to Danielle from
she's amazing.
Yeah. All right. Take care. We'll see you.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye.